Now, yesterday afternoon, my wife and I went to see Revenge of the Sith in the theater, with it being the 20th anniversary re-release and all. And though I've seen the movie many times over the years, probably around 25 to 30, I don't know exactly, I saw it 5 times in the theater back in the day when it first came out. I watched it several more times when it initially came out on DVD, and I have a tendency to watch all the Lucas Star Wars films maybe every other year or so. Anyway, yes, I have seen the movie quite a few times over the past 20 years, and so this time, with me, in a sense, being able to watch it again like the first time on the big screen, I wanted to try and see it or look at it in a new way if possible. I wanted to take a step back and try to figure out just what is it about this movie I love so damn much, keeping in mind I not only think it is one of the best Star Wars movies just in general, but it is one of my favorites. Certainly my favorite from the prequel trilogy, which isn't meant to be a knock against Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. It's just that I really enjoy Revenge of the Sith. And while I was watching it in a pretty much empty theater and maybe not getting the full theater experience with a big, excited crowd, which is my fault since Monday afternoon is not exactly the time to go and get that sort of full theater experience, but I still found myself having a ton of fun, just enjoying the movie and again, trying to think what makes this film so great. Just what do I love about this movie so much? I mean, in all reality, it's not a perfect movie. There are certainly some issues here and there, not necessarily with the visuals or anything. I was amazed at just how fantastic it still looks on the big screen after 20 years. But no, it is not a perfect movie. It maybe doesn't have the greatest dialogue of all time. It can be a bit clunky in classic George Lucas fashion, which sure does have its charms, don't get me wrong, and we have so many wonderful memes because of his writing. But yes, it could have been maybe a bit better in that department, I suppose, though in all reality, I don't think the dialogue is that bad. Not as bad as some make it out to be, especially in this film. I think it is better in this one than it is in, say, Attack of the Clones. And personally, or for me, it doesn't take anything away from the film, maybe because I'm just used to it, or long since accepted and come to love it as is, I don't know. Either way, as I was watching it, mostly just trying to enjoy it, but still, yeah, trying to ask myself what is so great about this movie, it wasn't until that scene where Anakin is sitting in the council chambers after turning Palpatine in and Mace and the boys are going to try and arrest him, and we see Padme kind of looking on as well, and we have the wonderful score of John Williams doing its thing. It wasn't until then that it really dawned on me what is so fantastic about this movie, what works so well, why so many people I think love it, or one of the reasons why so many love it. There are a lot of things to love, but one of the key reasons I think, whether people realize it or not, and it is partly super stupid obvious that should easily be noticed, and yet something that never truly dawned on me before right now, not to this extent anyway, but quite simply, the movie works because of Anakin Skywalker. That is what makes this movie great. As I've said before in other videos, what the prequel trilogy really needed to do, what the goal of it kind of should have been, if you ask me, and what I've never been entirely sure it pulls off all that well, was making you not only understand and root for Anakin Skywalker, but making you dread the fact that inevitably he is going to become Darth Vader. The prequel trilogy basically needed to make you not want to see Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader. Which, as someone who very much remembers before the prequels, remembers what fans were talking about in the sort of early internet forums and chat rooms before social media and before The Phantom Menace came out, the big question going into the trilogy wasn't what was going to happen, it was how is it going to happen? How exactly will Anakin fall? What does his journey to the dark side actually look like? How will this boy that we have been seeing in the first Phantom Menace trailers, how will he go on to become so evil and arguably the greatest villain in film history? And thus, with that being the question or the focus of so many fans going into the prequels, what so many were waiting for essentially, it was going to be rather difficult to make people not want to see that happen, even though, yeah, it obviously was going to happen no matter what. And I dare say the hardest part of the prequels, of making the prequels the greatest challenge for George Lucas and everyone else involved in its creation, was making you root for Anakin Skywalker over Darth Vader. And even though, again, I have seen this movie many times before, it wasn't until this showing, sitting in the theater with my wife watching it, the first time I think we have ever watched it together, and don't get me wrong, she's seen the movie tons of times too, But it wasn't until watching it with her, looking at her during that scene between Padme and Anakin, where he is making his, I guess, final choice, you could say, in a manner of speaking, even though he still has another one in front of him. But it wasn't until then that I truly understood Anakin Skywalker. That I truly understood one of the key things that makes this movie so great. Why so many people enjoy it and connect with it, and with him, with Anakin, in this moment when he is sitting in that council chamber, even if pretty much none of us will ever face a situation quite like he is facing. Not exactly, anyway. But we will face similar ones. We will all have to face the same kind of fear he is facing, the fear of losing things we care about. Whether it is a loved one, a prized possession, some sort of position we may have, there are no shortage of things we fear losing, and some of them we really, really fear losing because we feel like we cannot live without them, or that life just wouldn't be the same without them. Or what would be the point of going on if I lose this? And so we oftentimes have to decide what we might be willing to sacrifice or risk to hold on to these very precious things. Or maybe we're never given the chance to save them, the choice. They're just taken away from us without warning. But here is Anakin with a choice to save that thing that means so much to him, that he loves and needs more than anything and everything else. That thing that makes it all worthwhile for him. And again, sitting there with my wife, not to get all sappy or anything, but I think I understood that or thought about it in a way I had not before. Basically, I need her in my life in a way I have never needed anything else before. And there is nothing I would choose above her. Nothing. She is my everything. And that's what Padme means to Anakin, even if maybe the films don't do the absolute best job of selling that to us, or they just kind of tell us instead of really showing us, especially in Attack of the Clones.
I truly, deeply love you.
But Padme means absolutely everything to Anakin. He has gotten to the point where he cannot live without her. And the true dilemma Anakin Skywalker faces in Revenge of the Sith isn't a choice between do I try and save my wife and potentially end up helping Palpatine rule the galaxy in the process. The question he is actually facing is, what is the point of saving the galaxy if I have to give up what makes my life worth living to do it? And though I have discussed how Star Wars is about choices ad nauseum in many of my videos, how I've discussed this very choice by Anakin plenty of times before, but never had I looked at it exactly that way before. Never had I really asked myself, what would I do in Anakin's position? What if it was my wife who I feared was going to die unless I did something, and potentially ended up having to help a Sith Lord secure his grip on the galaxy to save her? Would I make the exact same choice that Anakin did? Because, again, we all have things, or have had and lost things, that we love dearly. Things we fear or feared losing because we don't know what life looks like without them. Or maybe we're already facing a reality without them after losing someone or something so special to you, and we often ask ourselves, what could we have done to save them? What could I have done differently to save them, or to change the way things played out? And though I think, again, beyond any and all of this, there are tons of other things to love about Revenge of the Sith. There's a lot of reasons why this is a great movie, but I truly do think what makes this movie special, what works so very well here, is that we can all relate to Anakin Skywalker and what he is going through in this movie. We all know that in the grand scheme of things, for the greater good, as a Jedi as he is, he made the wrong choice. He did. Yet we cannot, and I think many of us will not, blame him or fault him for it. We can feel exactly what he was going through. We can understand that impossible choice. And we don't want to blame him for making the wrong one for the greater good. And that's because there's a really, really good chance we would make the exact same decision he did. We are all, in a way, Anakin Skywalker, and that is why this movie is so good. Well, that is all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think makes Revenge of the Sith such a great movie, or maybe what you think makes it a terrible movie. Maybe you think I'm crazy for loving it so much. Either way, take to the comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.